G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now, the National Anti-Corruption Commission awarded a $51,000 contract, a tender, to the 11th floor of a building in Sydney, hiding the actual winner. Now, it was a barrister's chambers, but there's 45 barristers on that floor, and they've hidden the actual winner. And that comes on top of numerous times the National Anti-Corruption Commission has been exposed, awarding tenders to mates of the National Anti-Corruption Commission Commissioner Paul Brereton. And I published an article on the issue, and I also cover other issues. And the article is titled National Anti-Corruption Commissioner Paul Brereton launders money and evidence of premeditated fraud at the National Anti-Corruption Commission. And I published that article on Thursday the 6th of November 2025, and it starts off, Paul Brereton, who is the Commissioner of the National Anti-Corruption Commission, awarded a $51,000 tender to the 11th floor of a building, which once again has fraud written all over it. What's next? Will a phone box or a fire hydrant win a National Anti-Corruption Commission tender? As long as they have an ABN, it seems possible. In this article, I'll also revisit the article I published on the 16th of October 2025 titled NACC Commissioner Paul Brereton's fraudulent $100,000 jobs for the boys and girls scam exposed, and shine a light on two key points I missed that shows premeditated fraud by the NACC in awarding a $67,000 NACC contract to Paul Brereton's mate, barrister Matthew Vesper. 11 Wentworth Chambers wins a $51,000 NACC tender. A barrister has won a $51,000 tender to do consultancy work, but we don't know who the barrister is because the financial payment of the tender is being laundered via the chambers of the barrister, who seems to work from 11 Wentworth Chambers, which is one floor of a building. The reason I know this is because the tender is published on the federal government's AusTender website, which is designed to help transparency of government spending. But 11 Wentworth Chambers winning a tender to conceal the real tender winner flies in the face of government transparency. Given the NACC has been exposed, regularly doing favours for Commissioner Paul Brereton's army mates and barrister mates, such as Matthew Vesper, Christine Ernst and Gary Heavy, RFD, SC, it makes you wonder if the tender winner has had their names concealed to cover up their relationship with Paul Brereton. It must be noted that Christine Ernst, who I've previously reported on for another NACC tender win, works from 11 Wentworth Chambers. The Wentworth Chambers NACC tender is below, and I'll put that up on screen now. As per the tender you can see on screen now, the tender is for legal services and runs from the 1st of April 2025 until the 31st of December 2025. It is for $51,000 with an amendment value of $22,300. There was only one supplier invited, which always raises a question why no one else was allowed to tender for the work. The tender says, confidentiality reasons, Privacy Act 1988, which means nothing without more detail. It says consultancy, yes, which to me says there's no reason why the name of the barrister can't be made public, like all other barristers' names are made public when they win government tenders. That is how I know the names of Matthew Vesper, Christine Ernst, Gary Heavy, RFD, SC. Premeditated fraud by the NACC in awarding $67,000 to barrister Matthew Vesper. I published a blog video on the 15th of October 2025 about NACC Commissioner Paul Brereton giving his mate Matthew Vesper a $67,000 contract at the NACC via a tender, and also published an article on the 16th of October 2025 covering the matter. There were two key issues I did not address in detail in the above video or associated article, which I will now. Firstly, the Matthew Vesper tender document says suppliers invited to, which is a lie. In the above video, which I'll put a link to below this video on YouTube, at the 1 minute 25 second mark, Senator David Shoebridge asked NACC CEO Philip Reid about the Matthew Vesper tender and said as part of his question, there was only one other contractor considered, ? The reason Senator Shoebridge would have said that is because the tender document says there were two suppliers invited. NACC CEO Philip Reid ducks and weaves with his answer, and NACC General Manager Legal Rebecca Omega takes over the questioning at the 3 minute and 30 second mark. Rebecca Omega confirms NACC Commissioner Paul Brereton supplied the name of Matthew Vesper, who was Brereton's friend, as a candidate for the role outlined in the tender. At the 4 minute and 45 second mark, Senator Shoebridge asks, the list you provided to the CEO for his approval had Matthew Vesper's name on it and one other, ? At the 5 minute 20 second mark, Rebecca Omega admits only one name went to the CEO to be considered for the role. At the 7-minute mark, Rebecca Omega confirms NACC Commissioner Paul Brereton concealed his true relationship with Matthew Vesper. At the 8-minute and 10-second mark, Senator Shoebridge points out the NACC only picked one potential candidate for the role, which neither NACC CEO Philip Reid nor General Manager Legal Rebecca Omega disputed, which is confirmation the published tender document saying supplies invited to is a lie. And the reason for the lie is obvious. As I've previously written, NACC Commissioner Paul Brereton and Matthew Vesper worked together for 4 years from 2016 to 2020 as the Inspector General of the Australian Defence Force, investigating alleged criminal conduct by Australian Special Forces in Afghanistan. Paul Brereton headed up the inquiry and Matthew Vesper was lead counsel assisting Justice Paul Brereton based on his resume. There would be people in the government and legal fraternity who would know about the working relationship and friendship between Paul Brereton and Matthew Vesper. And if any one of them came across the tender document, saw that Matthew Vesper won the tender and he was the only one invited to tender, then alarm bells would have started ringing. And staff at the NACC knew this. Solution? Lie and put on the tender document that 2 suppliers were invited to tender. Of course, the problem is the lie has been exposed and it is premeditated fraud by the NACC for the financial benefit of Paul Brereton's mate, Matthew Vesper. And secondly, at the 9-minute 30-second mark of the video, Rebecca Omega says other names were put forward by Commissioner Paul Brereton as potential candidates, but Rebecca Omega fails to name any of the potential candidates, fails to say why they weren't invited to tender. At the 9-minute 45-second mark of the video, Rebecca Omega says Commissioner Paul Brereton was surprised when he was told that Matthew Vesper had won the tender. That was a blatant lie, and Senator Shoebridge calls out the lie at the 10-minute and 5-second mark. At the 10-minute and 25-second mark, Rebecca Omega sticks with her blatant lie. Closing arguments. NACC General Manager Legal, Rebecca Omega, needs to produce the other names that were put forward by Commissioner Paul Brereton as potential candidates and also explain why they were not invited to tender. If Rebecca Omega can't do that, she needs to resign. The NACC also needs to explain why the published tender document says suppliers invited to when only one was invited. Whoever says the NACC hasn't exposed any real corruption is lying. The NACC has exposed plenty of corruption, and it's all in-house corruption at the NACC. Now, I'll put a link to that video just detailed in the article below this video on YouTube, or you can go to my website, Kangaroo Court of Australia, and click on that article, and the video is embedded in the article. And as you can see, I've set up my new fugitive clothing t-shirt shop, which helps shine a light on corruption by taking a stand against government corruption. You can visit that shop. There'll be a link below this video on YouTube, or you can go to fugitiveclothing.com.au. And please do your bit and help shine a light on corruption and share this video on social media. And I'm an independent journalist. I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself, which helps me produce videos like the one you just watched. So it'd be greatly appreciated if you consider making a donation. You can donate any amount, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50 a month, whatever suits your budget or helps out in a big way. Or you can do one-off donations, and you can donate via PayPal or Patreon, or you can go to my website and click on the donations page for other donation options. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.